All right, Alec, this is kind of one of my favorite topics and relates a little bit to what we just talked about. Influencers sometimes come in a minute, maybe even a second, sometimes a lifetime. When I speak a lot, I talk about a lot my grandfather, my grandmother, my mom, my aunt emigrated from Kyiv, Ukraine, years and years and years ago to Montreal. And when I was about 5, he used to take me on walks in the park in Montreal, and he talked to everybody. It was like, really? And we should walk. We do this. He's talking to everybody. And so one day I asked him, I called him Zeta. I said, how do you know all these people? And I remember my 5-year-old brain, which some of my friends say it hasn't matured as much since then, but we won't listen to that. My 5-year-old brain, he said, I remember him saying, he said, well, one day, if you see the sky, and he pointed to the sky, I smiled at him, and he looked at me and smiled at me, and he came over, and we smiled and laughed, and we became friends, and we're doing stuff. And this other guy saw us doing that, and he came over to us also, and became friends. And we just relationships, we did stuff. And I thought, again, that 5-year-old mind, I said, well, life's going to be great. I just have to smile at people. I
Yeah.
actually remember saying that to myself. This is cool. I can do that. Um, and so it's amazing what can happen. We all have lots of influencers. They can be positive or negative, actually.
Yep.
Can you share? I'm sure you've had many, two or three people that have been influential in your life.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I mean, the first one I always start off with is my dad. As you said, even yourself, right? My dad, he has cerebral palsy from the time that he was born, right? So, he's always just had a little bit of a different life and a perspective on life too, I think, in such a good way. And I'm really grateful for him. I just think that, a lot of people were really just said that he would never have a normal life just from, his disability and stuff. Yet, he was still able to play basketball, in, junior high and high school. And, he obviously went on and has had a super successful career between Hewlett Packard and Adobe, right? And, he was the one that always said, Alec, one of the biggest things that I regret in my life is not taking more risk when I was younger, you know? And he's like, I don't think I would have taken it to the level that you have. He always jokes with me at that, but he's just shown me what it takes to work hard and, to provide for a family. And, when life gets you down and hands you the card that you've been dealt, right, good or bad, and there's lots of good cards and there's some bad, how to make the best out of it, right? And, just how to be there for people, no matter what they're going through. And I'm really grateful for that and him just always bringing our family together. He's just a really big role model of mine. And then second, an uncle of mine actually, his name's Matt Sperry. He's one of the head pulmonologists for Intermountain Healthcare. So he's got a pretty hard job, right? He sees a lot of people come in. You can imagine, right? Especially during these COVID, lots of people passing away. And the reason why he's such a big role model of mine, I think, is he's also had a crazy just life with as far as medicine goes is concerned, right? Obviously dealing with the sickest of sick people, right? A lot of injuries, and his youngest son, my cousin, has had 2 heart transplants, I think, and so watching that family go through that their whole life, Matt always made time for me and for our family. He's always been there. His family's amazing. He's raised such an amazing family, and they're so close to me and to my wife. And he knows how to light up a room, He talks to everyone. He always checks in and sees how we're doing. Like, I mean, just an example, right? Like our Christmas card, because he had the wrong address, got rejected. And he took the time out of his day to send me a text and say, "Hey, I sent you a Christmas card. I'm sorry you didn't get it." I mean, it's like, what, right? Like, and so,
Did you say, was there a gift attached? No, I'm just
yeah, exactly. I'll still I'll come grab it
kidding.
right now. No, but I mean, he just knows how to make us smile, He does we did family reunions and he would always lead them up. And I remember being younger, he'd have like, little baby razors, we call it the bear, the little 4x4, right? He'd make like courses and we'd drive around the cabin and stuff, and he just knew how to light up a room, like I said. And so we need more people like that in the world, right? I try to be a good and I try to take that from him, no matter what's going on in life, no matter who's sick, what's going on, right? You just try to be lighting up a room.
Well,
So,
the thing that kids usually say they want more of is time.
Yep.
which is
It's
what you're
true.
talking about, you know.
Yeah.
You know, a kid, you give a kid a toy in a box, you know, the old story, they usually play with the box more than the toy. And they just want to, we talk about belonging, connecting. They just want someone to care.
Yep, it's so true. And that's really what it is. It comes down to if you can show people that you care and you're really there for them and you give them the time of day that they really need, they maybe don't know that they need that, but they do and they need that connection, then I think that it goes a really long way and more than we can even possibly comprehend.
And, you know, just translating that to business, I've clearly shown that the ROI of that caring is incredible. When a player or an employee or even a kid, when you're parenting, does something wrong, and there's an expression we use also, clear is kind, and you're kind enough to be clear to them about what they did wrong, what they could do right. I believe in you, whatnot, get back on the field, get back on the ice, get back whatever. That person will be loyal to you till the end of time. And remember that you believed in them and remember that you cared enough to tell them how to be better and stuff. Not in a way that you're an idiot, but cared enough. So I love the fact of the character and your uncle, your dad and your uncle showed in giving that time. And there's a lot of people that still do that.
Yep,
Um,
there are.
but sometimes we're a little distracted by everything going on type of thing.
Yeah, it's so true.
So thanks for sharing that, man. That's really awesome. Appreciate
Yeah,
that.
for sure.